100 Thieves are convened elsewhere, doing whatever they need to do between the games. Quid ruminating on game number 1 there at his seat, at his computer. It was honestly a very close first game. The outcome still being what everyone expected with T1 taking the victory, but the road to that outcome was anything but expectation as 100 Thieves truly put T1 to the fire.
Dokla played one of the best games, honestly, feel like I've seen from him in his career. He was really on one. Gets put in such a difficult position after that early dive, outplays in the 1v2, gets both those kills, and every team fight finding the backline time and time and time again. Him and Quid really were shining in that game for me. And now the question is, can you try to harness that magic once again? Because now you have to beat T1 twice in a row, or 100 Thieves, their time in League of Legends is over. This is potentially the last game we will ever see, from 100 Thieves, and the last game we'll ever see from River, who is very likely retiring after this Worlds.
For me, we saw such a massive AD carry gap in that game. Gumayushi, his positioning was so fantastic, and his ability to dish out damage, and from FBI, overstepping one too many times, getting caught by Faker's knockbacks on the Talia. We'll see how things change if they do here in Game 2, as 100 Thieves looks to try and equalize the series, as the bans have already come through thick and fast.
Exactly. We've got Bard, Kiana, and Caitlyn banned out by 100 Thieves, looking mostly towards that bottom lane, as Cassante, Yunara, and Sion are banned out by T1. First pick of the draft here in what could be their last game in League of Legends. 100 Thieves will lock the rumble for Dokla.
I mean, honestly, it does make a lot of sense. And, when I'm thinking of Quid, I wouldn't be shocked if they're doing like a Yone Rumble, like full kind of like spicy style comp. This team, I think, wants to go down swinging. So if the opportunity is there, I would not be shocked. And the fact that they had left Azir open, they were potentially trying to like bait that and look for the Yone into Azir. The Ori is going to get taken, so we might just have an Ori versus Azir trade instead and have more kind of that standard style. But we could also look towards like an Akali or something like that if Quid really wants to stay on the melee champs, stay aggressive, because I do feel like that is probably your best chance, really getting in the mix. You could go like Pantheon Akali, something along those lines, and just full send it, because you can't play standard and really expect, I think, to be able to consistently take down T1.
I don't love Aurora into Orianna. I think the matchup is Orianna favored, but especially given how Quid played the laning phase in the first game, maybe he just feels confident in his ability to get the outplay.
Akali.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing around with some options right now. I think the Yone could also be fine. He will struggle in the early lane, but in the side lane and the scaling, he does have that advantage later on.
Yeah, I think basically what they were doing is you're leaving Azir Ori, and you're saying, if you go Ori, I go Akali. If you go Azir, I go Yone.
Sure.
And that's kind of like my read, just knowing the player and knowing they see themselves as underdogs. So they're not going to go, like, if this was in NA, he might just go Azir and say, we're just going to trade and I'll just team fight well and we'll win, right? But it's against Faker. It's against T1. You gotta get aggressive. So I actually really like the plan here early on from 100 Thieves.
I think, though, what's very scary is giving Ona this Jarvan, especially pairing it up with the Galio.
That was the first three are nasty.
T1 has a very solid foundation. Their dive and their protection. Akali loves the ability to lock down these low mobility mages, low mobility AD carries, and just execute them. But with the Galio protection on top, it's going to be that much harder for Quid to find those executes.
I mean, taunt is so problematic for Akali. You get pulled right out of the smoke screen. And now you have got to draft something for FBI that is going to be able to stay safe against the potential dive of Ori Jarvan with Galio all over the top, right? So I'm thinking about mobile carries and thinking about things like Ezreal. I'm thinking about something that's far back, maybe like a Jhin that is, staying kind of less involved in the fight. And T1 right now is targeting some of these supports that are engaged supports. I really like the Poppy ban because we are clearly showing full dive. The other option is you just go Kaisa with FBI and you say, I don't care about you diving me, I'm diving you, right? So those are the kind of two schools of thought. I think knowing FBI, like I would predict that he would play something like the Jhin. That would be kind of my expectation more so than the other options. But I do think you have a couple different paths you can kind of take from here. And Ezreal ban does make a lot of sense, just seeing as, again, it's like, how do I stay alive against this?
I think Jhin for Guma could also be a solid option. Of course,
totally, yeah.
Against Akali, it is a little bit scary, but when you've got so much threat, squishy front lines, like there's no real tank on the side of 100 Thieves right now. So Jhin from the back line with your ultimate, with your W. You've got a lot of potential range to play with as well.
Ooh.
Depends how much in the wombo combo direction they want to go. Maybe they're worried about something like a Jinx Lulu, but
Hyper-carry
Nico
pairing,
is
yeah.
still open. And for Keria, this is one of his preferred champions. It comfortably synergizes very nicely with what T1 have gone for. The wombo combo is very real, and this Akali's going to struggle with the stacking CC that we're starting to see mount from the side of T1.
I mean, it's all just AoE. It's like, I don't care if I see you because I'm just going to Shockwave and Galio ult and Nico ult all on top of that smoke screen there. And not only is this great engage, it's also great counter engage, right? Because if you are this melee heavy comp, very likely 100 Thieves are going to have 4, so they are going for the Kais option. So that means it's going to be a hard engage support. We're thinking like Rel or Nautilus or whatever, something along those lines. Regardless of what it is, you basically have 5 short range champions, and you're going to be flying in on a target, whether it is the Orianna or whatever AD carry that Guma goes. I think something super defensive could be smart here, whether it is the Jhin or Xayah or whatever. And then all of a sudden, in comes the Nico ult, in comes the Galio ult, in comes all these things. So I feel like the draft was fairly predictable. Both teams clearly have defined playstyles. If you're looking like, just standard comps, I feel like T1 has a pretty big edge. But if there were a way to win, I think for 100 Ds, just full sending it. So I don't mind it whatsoever.
I am not surprised even in the slightest by the Xayah being picked against the full dive. So powerful to buy yourself the time while the Pop Blossom or the Galio ulti or whatever else comes in to just create space. 100 Thieves showed us last game that they are willing to play aggressive, that they will not be intimidated by the fact that they are playing up against T1. And with this type of composition, you need to have that mentality. My eyes are locked onto River on this Pantheon. You've got point and click stuns. You've got an incredibly powerful semi-global ultimate to try to turn numbers in your favor when they shouldn't be. And I feel like River's performance will be paramount for this team to have a chance.
I'm keeping my eyes on both Guma and Faker. In the last game, Faker really did struggle throughout the early phases, but he had very significant knockbacks on that Taliyah, whereas Guma, in this composition, he's very relied on to be one of the main damage dealers. This is really only a 2 damage threat composition, and 100 Thieves are going to be sending everything that they've got to take out these 2 carries. Their positioning is going to be important. Their impact in the team fights is going to be super important. Let's see if River can find the advantages needed to set up 100 Thieves for success in these fights.
Yeah, and Pantheon has been struggling so far at Worlds. It is 1-5. Only win was won by Tarzan. And, sometimes when you have these, low threat comps where you have 1 threat, 2 threat, I am not a fan of those. But when it's Gen G, when it's T1, when it's teams like this, you just kind of know that the carries are going to play to a level that it's going to work out, that it's going to be strong.
Also, Ona's Jarvan is just something he's so proficient at. It's something that he's incredibly comfortable on, and he has such impact in the early game.
What isn't he proficient on? That's the problem with this guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude,
that's very
good.
true. That he is, in fact, quite good. I mean, he's been
How's
kind
his
of the,
Azir jungle?
probably quite bad, actually. There you go.
Okay, there we go. We just need to ban him into a point where he has to play Azir jungle.
We need to shift the game into 126 bans. I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm very much expecting a huge early game impact from him. Bot lane is the lane I expect him to be focusing his attention towards. Right now, he's sitting in the middle of the lane, deciding where he wants to start his pathing.
Just pondering a little bit.
Well, look, the delayed invade, he was prepared for it. He's now going to change his attention. Great read from Ona.
Yeah, that was actually so impressive. That is what he's doing. He's just waiting. He's saying, okay, I have a ward protecting on that side. He knew that they had that ward over on red buff. So he's saying, I don't want to get caught on this invade here. And as a result, is just going to be able to immediately go to his wolves. It's going to turn into a split map situation very likely. Kai'Sa is topside, so it is going to be Rumble and Rel weak-sided here, and Owner is immediately going to go into this clear. Yes, he'll be able to go down. It will be spotted, but this is a split map spot, and I feel like though it was River who initiated it, I really favor T1's spot from here because Galio getting weak-sided, I think you're not really likely to be able to punish it that heavily.
I told you guys, he was pondering. He was pondering where they were going to start, how they were going to invade him, just simply considering all of the possible outcomes as Keria and Gumayusi are going to have control over the bottom lane wave here initially. Quid losing out in these early trades against the Orianna. We know how powerful Clockwork Windup is for taking control of the lane early on against these melee champions.
I do also want to note, going for fleet footwork on Akali, it does give you so much more survivability in lane, especially with the additional healing that you can get from your passive. But your kill threat is significantly lower in the late game. Electrocution has become such a staple in Akali's kit to give her that extra kill threat. To not run it, I have some concerns around the potential kill threat later on, especially when we move into the side lane. But for the laning phase, it really does allow you to stay that much healthier when playing in the 1v1.
Yeah, and I think, you know, talking to players about this, it's kind of the trade-off of basically you're saying, yeah, I'm losing damage by not going electrocute, but I'm gaining damage by being able to stay in lane longer and having fleet and kind of having more itemization. So that's kind of the argument I've heard from some players. Whether or not that does actually remain true or whether it does pay off, that's a different question here, because Faker obviously still building a pretty nice edge thus far. Ayla, yeah, maybe could have engaged, but wouldn't have mattered because no one is in range. And FBI taking a very bad end of a trade there against Dorian, but both are low, and because Dorian is weak-sided, he's the one that's going to have to back off, not knowing where River is.
All right, we still don't have any crazy action here early with this split map situation like you were talking about. And remember, we mentioned it a little bit in the draft, but this is truly the final heist for 100 Thieves. It's not just the end of worlds once this team is out of the competition. It is the end of the organization in League of Legends. They already confirmed back at the start of this year that they would be exiting League of Legends after the 2025 season was complete. They've gone on an incredible run so far throughout the summer split to even make it to this point. And now up against T1, who are now one game away from eliminating them, 100 Thieves will be put to the test.
And by all means, they have been tested at this World Championship. What a last hurrah for the organization, as they've not had an easy schedule by any means.
No.
They have only played so many difficult opponents here at the World Championship.
Only LPL and LCK.
Yeah, and to round out their tournament, potentially, they can still win out this series, but to go up against DT1 in the event that they do lose today, I mean, I couldn't really think of a better opponent to lose to, considering how storied this organization truly is. But 100 Thieves still in a very even state so far in this game. They are definitely by no means down and out just yet. And we saw how resilient they were in their first game. They came so close to winning that first game even. As Carrier has snuck his way in.
Yeah, Carrier, the extra cannon minion, but he misses the tangle barbs. If those would have hit, I think that's almost certainly first blood.
Yeah, very likely, but either way, he just walks up, chunks down Quid. Quid has no TP, so that is actually so problematic for him. River is coming to try to cover, but they are looking to try to keep this pressure going on him. And this is a difficult spot for Quid.
And I like this choice here from T1, recognizing again in game number 1, struggles for Faker in the laning phase. Quid getting the solo kill, remember, back around like level 5, level 6 or whatever it was. And now they are shutting that down by forcing Quid to take another recall without that TP like you mentioned.
Quid taking that E to last hit that minion really was a big mistake. Carrier was waiting for it. He could see what Quid was planning, and he punished him by forcing him to go back to base. And now this is an easy dragon secure for T1. Very little to think about. When there's no enemy mid laner to contest, when you know that your Orianna is level 6, should be an easy objective secure.
Yeah, Dokla's still holding onto his TP though, and Guma is top, so there is a potential for a 5v4 if they want to try to go for it, but of course, they are too late. But early smite the steal!
Stolen away with a crash down coming in from Ayla. 100 Thieves are thinking about a fight, but Faker's already level 6. Ayla with a flash away. River stepping forward here with a shield, but a heroic entrance forces another flash, this time from River. 100 Thieves, yes, they overstay. Yes, it costs their summoners, but a heroic Comet Spear from River steals the objective right in front of T1.
They call them the Thieves for a reason. 4 HP on the dragon, and the spear is enough to secure it. 100 Thieves lead the objectives, and they slink back into the night with no kills on either side.
A very rare miss smite here from Owner, down to 4 HP, and River just walks up. Thanks for the leash, brother. It's normally Guma pulling these off, but Guma's not here. The true smiter on 100 Thieves is on the other side. Auto smite, 4 HP. That's 4 too many, as River's going to be able to grab it.
I love the guy in the audience who's literally doing Pepe hands as his reaction, as T1 are going to be a little bit disappointed with that, as now River shows up in the mid lane with a Grand Starfall. Point and click there for the stun, and it's first blood over to Quid. This is what 100 Thieves wanted when they drafted Akali.
Yeah, Faker not even going to use the flash there, just going to hold on to it. Didn't think there was any real way he could get out, and I agree because the R2 would have still been there to follow and finish him off. So that is a great aggressive play here. Does cost them the flash and double ulti, but well worth it. They take down Faker. He has no TP, so they can push in the wave, deny some CS, get that kill onto Quid. And 100 Thieves, they really are pushing T1 so far in this series. They're playing great.
Faker, if he'd lost his flash as well, that only increases the likelihood of Quid having even greater kill threat later on in the laning phase. So I very much agree with you, Azael. Wise choice by Faker not to commit to that. The gold, though,
Those wise
still
choices a lot.
very even. That he does. Play going to be secured by Gumayushi. And what I find interesting is 100 Thieves is very committed to keeping FBI in the matchup against Doran. I think across the map that is costing 100 Thieves a bit in terms of gold and experience. Gumayushi about to take over to level 7, so he is pretty even with FBI, I stand corrected, as Doran with that small XP lead, level 7. And T1 should uncontested secure these grubs.
Exactly.
Only cost is going to be a few minions in bot lane, but 3 grubs for T1. They're going to be really happy about that, especially because, like you said, it's been Dokla lane against the duo lane. He's always getting pushed in. You know, mid lane has been getting pushed in. So T1 is going to get access to these towers, and they're going to be starting to shred through plates, which is a big problem here. I mean, Dokla, like, what are you supposed to do in this 1v2? There's not a lot, right? Like, all he can do is just try to survive, and he's done a good job of staying pretty even.
I mean, when you're looking at AD carry farm, comparing that, though, biggest individual gold lead in the game is Gumayushi over FBI. 85 farm compared to 68 is nearly 3 entire waves for the T1 AD carry. Now more than that, as he's continuing to just farm at an incredible rate.
Yeah, I mean, he's just free farming, right? Like, he's been in, 2v1s, he's been laning against this Rumble that can't do anything against him, and you're playing Nico Xayah against Rumble Rel to start the game. That's free farm, and then he's in a 2v1 a lot of time against the Rumble thereafter. So Guma doing a great job just hoovering up all the farm possible, getting accelerated on this Xayah. You called it out last game, Vedi, that Guma was just positioning so well, playing so well for T1, really was stalwart for them in that win. And Guma is going to be very difficult to dive and take down. Faker's going to go a super defensive build. He's probably just going Archangel's Roa. We're going to have Xayah that's very tough to take down. You're going to have counter engage from Keria, Galio ult to be there as well. These are not going to be easy carries to get onto and kill.
But that's also why we talked about 100 Thieves really needing to find advantages early. That was a really nice ultimate mid lane from River. We need to keep seeing these from 100 Thieves, trying to accelerate the game where they can, get this Akali ahead of the curve, get that first item just ahead of your opposition. And if you can just be that little bit ahead, get those item spikes ahead of T1 and then force them into those fights in these early games before those defensive items come through, that's where you can find these big advantages.
All right, down here in bottom lane, checking in is now finally it's AD carry versus AD carry, support versus support, and still though, that 3 waves or so lead for Gumayushi is present. Owner creeping through the lane now, looking for potentially the opportunity at a lane gank, but he's not going to see that come to fruition, so instead just channels the recall.
Yeah, I think more so he's just looking to cover because they know that River's ult is going to be back up, so he's just saying, hey, if we're going to push in this lane, look to put some pressure on there, I need to be there to cover. If Pantheon ult's in, that's an easy one fight in the 3v3. So, just smart stuff here from T1, continually moving that advantage forward. Essence Reaver now completed for Guma. And I mean, Keria is just kind of making everyone's life a nightmare everywhere he goes. He is causing problems for 100 Thieves. Nice little shuriken flip there from Quid to dodge a shockwave.
Yeah, that shockwave, not quite what Faker was hoping.
Didn't find them all.
No, we've seen some impressive shockwaves from Faker in the past. That one,
not one of the top 10s.
Yeah, that one's not going to make the highlight reel anytime soon, I don't think. But I also don't think 100 Thieves is I don't think T1 or 100 Thieves is too super worried about that one right now.
They might need to be though, Flowers. With the Dragon started off, Quid has his ulti, and River is in the river.
Okay, but T1 has total control over the area. They already
that's
lost
also
the
true.
first Drake, but they started it up, remember, so early. So second Drake of the game, down before 12 minutes, 1-1 in Drake count, thanks to the earlier 100 Thieves steal.
I don't think that ward is in the... Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that ward actually missed the brush. In any case, yes, I did miss that the AD carry had gone back to base. Definitely would have been a challenging fight. 100 Thieves trying to force down in a 3 versus 4, even without Faker.
But I'm with you. 100 Thieves is just so good that they should have 3v4'd that. That's an easy win.
Yeah, I mean, Akali with that ulti, very scary at this point in the game, that's for sure.
You've seen enough Quid to know he can make that happen.
Absolutely. I mean, he did solo kill Faker in the previous game. He started off strong, and I imagine he has to be riding that high with the level of confidence he's playing with.
I thought you were
right
going to go with he did solo kill Faker with the help of River.
All right, Owner trying to come in here, make a move on to Quid, but because the Shockwave's still down from earlier, it means that Quid can make enough distance that Owner cannot try to engage after him with the Cataclysm without committing a flash. He does not want to use that. They know that Quid still has the ultimate, so he could get away defensively just with that. Comet Spear and the rest of the ulti coming in now as the Grand Starfall sets it up. Carry is knocked down. 100 Thieves, they find themselves a free kill, and now that's a 2-0 game in their favor. The Shockwave from Faker at the very end of the fight doesn't do anything.
I mean, it's a beautiful play, not only because they kept the kill onto Carrier, but because Faker had to flash to avoid it being him that goes down. So Faker flashes out, and Carrier just kind of has to tank that one for him. It's a get down, Mr. President moment, but you still got to pay that price, and 100 Thieves happy to take the blood toll.
The only bad news for 100 Thieves is the kill did go on to Ayla. They would have loved to have funneled a little bit more gold into their Akali, but at the end of the day, as you highlighted, Azael, advantages gained for 100 Thieves. A small gold lead in their favor. Herald are going to be spawning in about 1 minute, 20 seconds, and so T1 want to try and get that last plate before it wears off, and they're going to grab it. So T1 immediately going to close that gold gap, and we find ourselves once again in a very even game state. I think T1 do prefer this situation, especially with the Rod of Ages completed, and that's going to start stacking up for Faker in the mid lane.
And they get the third plate as well with the extra auto attacks, thanks to the fact that they have 3 grubs. The burn over time gets that third plate right before it ticks 14 minutes.
Now, ideally, Quid does not want to be fighting Doran. Doran has no kill threat on the Akali, but the Akali has no kill threat on the Doran. Meanwhile, Faker with no flash, sure. Rumble ultimate with the Pantheon ultimate could be enough to set up for a kill, but ideally they want to try and swap those when they can, because look at Faker right now. He's just bullying Dokla in the side lane.
Yeah, I mean, Dokla has been set behind definitely this game, but has done a good job keeping his farm quite close to where those mid laners are, and Quid not going to be having much fun. Definitely shouldn't be getting solo killed or anything like that, but could slowly get whittled down by Doran here and lose pressure, and I agree. They really want to be playing around this Akali, so they need to try to fix those lane assignments when they get an opportunity.
And you guys mentioned it back in draft, but it is so true. I want to reiterate it again. The taunt hard counters Akali smoke so well, and Ayla gets caught by Tangle Barbs, but only loses a small chunk of HP. River jumps in after Carrier, who drops a Pop Blossom defensively and immediately then flashes over the wall to get to safety. Owner wanted to try to secure the crab before he made his exit, but he couldn't have the damage to get it done. Now 100 Thieves and River have control over the area. Because they've got the crab, they're going to start up the Herald, and it's up to T1 to try to stop them, but Carrier has no ulti and no flash. This Nico is not very useful.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's going to be really difficult. Ayla's trying to wrap around here on Owner, make sure that he can't actually walk up for any chance at a steal. But T1 can just play mid. They're just going to actually knock down this tower here. So yes, they will lose the Herald, but here comes River.
River jumps in, Gumayushi immediately into the ulti. River tries to follow him, but the hero's entrance locks up the enemy jungler. And T1 takes the first turret. They take a kill, and now Quid is trying to come in to take revenge. Owner is your first target. He's down to 200 HP. He tries to get away with a perfect execution, lives up to the name. Quid gets it done. Nicely played there from 100 Thieves to respond to the nice play that T1 started with. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but T1 taking the turret means they come out on top.
You're absolutely right, Flowers. A nice sequence from both sides as T1 acknowledge that they cannot contest the Herald, so they invest their resources into mid. But now, TP top lane.
Faker in a little bit of danger here. Equalizer to slow him down as he tries to escape. Dokla's got to be careful chasing after this. Quid has no ulti on the Akali. Faker trying to make his way all the way out. A beautiful shockwave. Dokla's down to make it a 1-for-1, but 100 Thieves still get him.
All right, they really wanted to force it. I thought they were just going to let him walk out because he was very far back, but instead they decided to force it. It does make it a 1-for-1. They will deny a few minions from Faker, so honestly not bad, but the fact that you spent your TP for that, you spent the flash on the Rumble for that, really means it is not worthwhile, and Doran is going to knock down your tier 1 on the other side, so another tower going to be going the way of T1. That top lane tier 1 is almost knocked down as well. The gold very slightly in the favor of T1 here, but 100 Thieves keeping it close.
The next objective is going to determine the feats of strength, but unlike last time, 100 Thieves are not in a position to contest this dragon. They will concede it. T1 will secure the upgraded boots as River looks to try and cross-map, stealing away camps on the top side. It's a very close game with no clear winner. T1 do currently have the map advantage simply because they've secured the mid and the bot tower. But 100 Thieves, I look at this Akali and I think they have a very clear win condition.
They absolutely do, but at the end of the day, I feel like a close game at this point heavily favors T1,
You're right, you're right.
It's
That's
so
true.
hard to really play into this composition, and the more time you give Faker without him being super behind, it's like, not only is he going to have Archangels, well, guess what's next? It's going to be Azonias after that. Then you have no easy target at all to dive. So 100 Thieves have really got to make them pay, I think, at this next dragon fight and try to blow the game open with something like a wipe into a dragon, into an Otacon, or I feel like T1 is just going to slowly scale until their carries can't be killed in a dive.
And the thing I immediately pay attention to when we have late feats of strength like this, the initial boot upgrade, it really doesn't add a whole lot of power, but it's the ability to upgrade the boot an additional time after the first two big items are completed. Killer Instinct from FBI, Pop Blossom to follow it up here. Carrier on the defense as Ayla wanted to use the Magnet Storm, and they do secure the kill on Carrier, but now Doran jumps into the middle of everybody. He gets one back onto Ayla. Support for support as the Galio goes up into the air and gets away. Faker wants to throw the ball forward. 100 Thieves disengaging. Another 1-for-1.
That was a double DP from T1, so honestly, a 1-for-1 there does favor 100 Thieves. It is just the supports going down, but we'll see if they can find something more. Owner and Faker trying to make their way back towards top. I love that 100 Thieves is playing around this. They have Herald, so they're going to try to zone Faker away from getting back to this tower, and he might walk right into River.
No, he's just going to throw the ball.
They're not going to overstay their welcome. 100 Thieves want to go back to base, spend what gold they can. Otacon now going to be spawning in 50 seconds. I don't expect this objective to be immediately started, but in the fog of war... Okay, Rumble. I thought that he was setting up a trap. Looks like not going to be anything too significant. Squid going to push out this wave, and I imagine a reset will come through for him as well.
Honestly, I'm really surprised that River actually based there. Knowing that the Galio ult is down, I don't think there's much of a response that T1 can have to that sort of aggressive play, but didn't want to risk it, and as a result, they might be looking for Doran if he overstays as well.
I feel like they want to save Herald for mid. I guess they are worried about their siege. Similarly to last game, they are a very short-range composition, and against an Orianna, maybe they want to use this Herald to guarantee this mid tower. Doran, though, doesn't have his flash.
Nice. They stun him up with a Shattering Strike, and then they try to block the exit here for the Justice Punch. Doran cannot use it to get away because he would have to dash back first. So a nice
Otacon,
shutdown goes over to 100 Thieves.
No TP on Faker.
As Otacon spawns. T1 now in a 4v5 for the next 30 seconds. There is also no teleport on Doran once he respawns. He will have the hero's entrance if he needs it. The Herald is summoned up here in the bottom lane. A Herald charge alone will not kill the tier 1 turret, and Quid is still making his way over to the battlefield. T1 stabilizing for now as the Herald is shot down.
He's sitting in the fog of war. Our observers highlighting for us, but he was spotted on the entrance. Quid has to be so careful. T1 trying to collapse, but he will push them back with the assistance of his team. This Otacon, an objective too scary to start, especially with 2 seconds until Doran returns to the Rift. So 100 Thieves won't convert it into anything. They get some damage onto the bot tier 1, but nothing really garnered off the back of that pick.
Yeah, definitely worried there, I think, about starting it up, about it being a flip or getting knocked down, because that would be probably a game ender, a series ender. But, I mean, they knew Faker is back in base, has no TP, and Doran is dead and has no TP, so I thought that might have been an angle they would normally go for. But definitely is going to be a scary proposition. Quid now has the Storm Surge completed, so he's on 2 items. And it feels like, again, this is going to be a game coming down to a pivotal dragon fight. You cannot allow T1 to get that 3rd dragon for free move to Soul Point.
All right, Doran's about to take the tier 1 turret here in the top lane, put T1 at a very, very slight gold lead. 56 seconds until that potential soul point for T1 does spawn. 2nd item fully completed for Faker as well. He has the Seraph's Embrace all the way evolved. Quid going after Doran here, going to allow the taunt to expire. River ready to join up. Yes, Doran is very tanky against magical damage, and he failed the flash over the wall. The Galio now with the hero's exit to get away to a nearby ally, but Quid tries to follow here with a Shuriken flip. He goes in for the perfect execution. He's trying to still find the kill. Doran dies, and Quid's got the fancy feet to guarantee it. Oh, no, wants to get away, but a flash 5-point strike hits all 5. Quid dies to the shockwave in retaliation, but it's a 2-for-1 for 100 Thieves, and one of the 2 is the enemy jungler. Ayla crashing down over the wall as Gumayushi forces his retreat. T1, they're a 3v4 on the map for now.
I cannot believe that Quid made that work. It was such a risky follow on the E, but he says, screw it, I'm gonna go in. He finds the outplay, he gets a kill onto Doran, the Rumble ultimate from Dokla with the assist onto getting the kill onto Ona as well. If it wasn't for Faker, he would have been 2 for 0.
But are 100 Thieves just gonna give the Dragon? I mean, you killed the jungler, you killed the top laner, they're not even moving down there whatsoever. We can see this one more time. It's all about the chase, and Doran, you are not going to get one shot. You can walk all the way, I promise. He just flashes early and flashes into the wall. And the E to follow. We're going on a wild ride, Eddie.
I mean, this was so risky. A nice interrupt comes through from Ona, but it also stops. Oh no, the taunt does still connect, but the ultimate is still available for Quid. He still connects the E as well. That Rumble ultimate is huge because of how much damage it does to Ona. It ends up being 2 kills, but we're back to live. The Dragon started off.
All right, T1 going after the Drake. 100 Thieves on the approach.
River's not
T1's
here.
already
No
got
ult.
it down to 40% HP. Doran keeping Quid away off to the right side. Pincer as the Infernal Drake is secured by Owner and T1. 100 Thieves not there in time.
Yeah, River really wanted to finish a second item, so he does do that, but then you're allowing them the free soul point, and now they're going to engage.
Yeah, now it's a ton of damage. Back onto River. The shield cannot protect him in time. Quid wants threat onto Gumayushi, but he doesn't have enough. Pop Blossom's not going to stop him. Ayla into the middle of everybody here with a Magnet Storm. Carrier might just die to Quid, but FBI's already been executed by Owner. Ayla's next to fall. Double kill over to Gumayushi. Carrier dies, but it's so many dead on 100 Thieves in trade. Only Quid and Dokla are still alive as Quid tries to escape into the enemy jungle. Owner's got an eye on him here with the sweeper. Quid still trying to get out, but Faker's shockwave will seal his fate. T1 with a 4 for 1.
For simply approaching the Dragon, T1 find 4 kills. 100 Thieves positioning. They did not respect the possibility of T1's collapse. They lose so many members. They lose the Dragon. They lose the Arakan, and this game is quickly slipping away.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, again, the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, watch it one more time. The Dragon was already down, but they were worried about the potential of Otacon. So River has the 2 items. He moves over here, but Dokla's not with him. FBI's not with him. It's just such a good engage from T1. Start the fight very early. Owner then just locks FBI into the Cataclysm, and look at this from Guma. The R, the E flash, pulls the feathers through, knocks down FBI, and then all of a sudden it just doesn't matter because even though Quid had a really great engage, avoided the Pop Blossom, he only kills the support, and T1 just fights forward through the rest of the team.
Faker in an awkward position here.
Yep, tagged by the first Electro Harpoon. Exhausted now as he tries to fight back. Owner swooping in to protect his mid laner. Meanwhile, FBI's in danger. Killer Instinct defensively. Faker burning down. Dokla burning down. A little bit more damage from Flame Spitter. Isn't going to get it done. Faker finds the first kill back into Dokla. Gumayushi under pressure. He tries to sidestep away. A massive outplay from Gumayushi defensively with the feathers to buy a little bit more time. But he is shut down by River. It's still 3 for 1, favoring T1 as Quid and River are trying to get away. And Doran pushes the tier 2 mid.
That pick onto Faker could have opened up a Baron, but he is just so tanky. Dokla didn't have the damage to get through the shielding from Doran, the HP from Faker's build, and while Quid set his sights on the AD carry, Guma was far too resilient. Carrier was providing enough support, and 2 towers will fall off the back of that as T1 gain an even greater gold advantage.
I kind of want to see that one more time because it felt to me at first like maybe Dokla was just trying to hold on to the equalizer, not commit it, used it very late, but they are going to go back in. Can they actually stop the recalls in time?
Dokla looking for it. He has no equalizer to try to stop this, but they don't need it just yet. Here comes Ayla. He's locked him up with a Magnet Storm. Faker trying to get away. He's very low on HP, but River's on the approach. Faker and Owner both getting away over the wall. Quid on the chase. He finds the shutdown onto Faker, and now he's got to try to get himself out of it. But he's not going to find the kill under Quid here just yet. Owner's going to be burned down. Shutdown credits over to River. It's 2 kills for 100 Thieves.
What a fight there from 100 Thieves. They force it. They find the angle. Quid is back to base, but he has no TP. River is low. Owner is dead. They can't start the Baron, though, because the rest of the T1 members are very strong, and the health bars are too low for River and Quid.
The problem for 100 Thieves this game is that while they find kills, they cannot convert it into any objectives as Doran.
This one could be important, but the flash of the wall keeps Doran safe for now. 100 Thieves yet again looking for any chance they can.
All 3 outer towers are still alive for T1. 100 Thieves know that they have the numbers advantage. The Baron with the Kai'Sa relatively quick, but it's a risky force and they're not going to do it. 100 Thieves need to be converting these kills into something to turn this game around.
100 Thieves have not claimed a single turret this entire
They spotted
game,
Keria.
like you say, Vedius. Keria has been spotted out. Important to note, T1 also ahead, 29 flower petals. His owner goes in for the Cataclysm. They're ready to back it up with Faker and Gumayusi. It's 2 kills for free, 1 for each of the T1 carries. And now with the top laner and jungler down on the 100 Thieves side, T1 are feeling emboldened. Doran just distracting everybody here in the mid lane as the rest of T1 begins the Baron.
The positioning was scattered for 100 Thieves, and T1 are so quick to pounce. They take out the jungler, they take out the top laner, they convert it into a Baron, and now they've got firm grasp over game 2.
And just what I was saying before the fight broke out, it is over 2,500 gold worth of adaptive force for T1 just from the flower petals. This is one of the most one-sided flower petal counts we've seen in a game so far at Worlds. That, added on top of the 5,000 gold lead, added on top of the soul that's about to spawn here in 2 seconds, is huge.
Jogla has no flash, and he's going top, so they're just going to give the soul. They're not even going to try to contest it here, and it feels like that might seal their fate in this game. We'll see if there's any sort of a attempt at a random seal, but not going to be there, as T1 will claim the Infernal Soul back-to-back games.
There's no Comet Spear this time. The 4,500 gold lead, the 2,500 adaptive force advantage, the Dragon Soul, which is worth multiple thousands of gold on its own. You're looking at a realistic lead of 5 digits of power for T1.
The MasterCard priceless moment will cement another soul for T1. 13 kills to 12. 100 Thieves have fought valiantly, but now they have to keep their base alive as T1 set the siege. This bot lane, though, not much of a minion wave to work with for now. Doran is going to escort a wave in the middle lane, but that's going to be caught by Quid. The wave clear isn't the strongest from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, they have basically no wave clear to speak of at all. River's trying to see, is there an angle? Will Doran overextend? But he doesn't need to. He knows it's just a matter of time before the T1 members on that bottom side are able to push in here. Keria is there.
All right, first inhibitor turret already down. Into the back line goes River, but into the front line goes Keria. Pop Blossom. FBI's already down, and Ayla's going to follow. River dies to the back line of T1. It's 4 dead already, and with only Quid alive, T1 is ready to end this game. The Shockwave will not find the Akali. Quid will waste as much time as he can, but it will not matter. 100 Thieves left it all on the Rift in their final series of League of Legends, but the winningest team in the history of the game will not be stopped here. T1, move on.
It was always going to be such a long shot against the back-to-back world champions.